Okay, okay. Hello, dear friends. Michelle is on the line with you again. For those who join my channel for the first time today, I remind you that I'm an expert in the field of international finance. And although, of course, I must admit that recently the content policy of my channel has become somewhat specific. Yeah, but as I can say, we are not like that, but our life is like that. And I just do what I think will be able to help novice traders the most today. For sure, 5 years ago, I would have said that first of all you should start your work as a financial speculator with training in the technical basics. Then I would say that there is nothing more important than the ability to correctly build price channels, determine support and resistance levels, be able to clearly identify market conditions, trend and flat, use numerous technical analysis tools to build a correct forecast. Yeah. Besides, I'd be I by no means avoid fundamental analysis. This is also a very important component of any trader's work. Even if your main goal is effective trading on the news, then you should definitely refrain from intensive trading activities during periods of some significant news events for the currency you are working with. Yes, all this would be most important. Do not think today everything I said above is no less important, and I will tell you about it anyway, necessarily. But there is one big nuance in the reality in which we live with you today. I would characterize today's internet not only as an almost endless source of knowledge and information. That is, yes, all this is certainly true, because with a certain diligence and little skills in working with search queries, you can find almost any information on the web today and in almost any volume. But I will still focus on another criterion. Today's internet is also extremely anonymous. Judge for yourself. Here you go to the website of some online store and make purchases there. Yeah? Okay, imagine. Do you often wonder what kind of store it is and whether you can trust it at all? Probably not often. You just transfer money, and in some cases, after a while, you just get what you ordered. Yeah? And in some cases, you don't get it. Situations can be very different, but the question for me, the main question is that I emphasize once again that you have developed the habit of transferring money without thinking. To whose address, in fact, you are doing it. And it often happens that it is almost impossible to check who exactly owns, who is the real owner of a particular business or even just a resource. Yeah? And in the world of trading today, we have a completely similar situation. There are not so many projects that can actually be trusted, but fraudulent ones that not only will not allow you to earn anything, but on the contrary, who will steal all your funds in your very first days in the profession. It is an incredible amount that has really become, yeah, for today. And I just want to tell you about one of them today. This is a project called Introtrade. In general, it should be very clearly understood here that neither a beautiful portal nor attractive content is worth absolutely nothing. It is, always necessary to approach everything as critically as possible. This is the only option to save your money and eventually become a real professional trader. We have to fight for our bright future today, almost in the literal sense of the word. And this is not a joke at all. Yeah? Friends, I hope it will be informative and interesting for you to watch my current material. If you like what I do, If you think that I'm doing everything right and bringing real benefits to people, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have already encountered the actions of Introtrade in any form, absolutely in any form, please write me about it in the comments or by contacting me directly at the contacts listed in the description of this video. Okay, so friends, I think that it's really time to finally move on to a detailed analysis of Introtrade activities. Let's go, and thank you for joining. Okay guys, so here we are now on the central page of the project portal, which we will analyze with you today. What do we see here with you? In fact, the portal looks complete, logical and consistent. The portal was created in full compliance with the rules by which white brokers create their projects. There is the necessary information about the latest quotes of the most popular assets among traders. There is a block of news from the world of international financial markets. There are all types of trading instruments that you can theoretically work with. In addition, there is a good section about the company where the founders of Introtrade explain, let me show you, to all traders why they should choose this broker after all. The overall impression of the portal I personally have is the most positive, and it would be absolutely wonderful if everything they tell us here will be also true. Let's start in order. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is the very financial instruments that we are already offered to trade here. Here's a look at almost the second block of the central reversal of the portal. They show us that there are numerous opportunities to investments here in metals, in currencies, in financial indices, and shares of energy companies. It all looks extremely tempting. Of course, if you forget about the fact that all these trading instruments are simply do not simply exist here. The only opportunity to invest on the Introtrade portal is actually contracts for price differences, which in the professional environment are called the abbreviation CFD, and working with them has nothing at all to do with what you might think about trading on the stock market. The difference is simply colossal and extremely disastrous for the state of deposits of novice traders. To make it clearer for you, I'll explain a little what I mean. When working with classical trading instruments, the most important criterion is the transfer of ownership of a trading asset. You can buy metals, stocks, bonds, become their owner, and as a result, if you work with securities, you can also count on annual dividends. Thus, the standard annual profit of a professional speculator is formed from the value of securities, with the right choice of which it is quite possible to count on an annual increase in the deposit of about 10%, for example, as well as from dividends paid by the issuing company of securities based on the results of operating activities for the reporting period, which can also be about 10% of the total value of assets owned by the trader. Moreover, do not forget that you will not always get your hands on the acquired assets physically, but since all the activities of brokers are strictly regulated by regulatory authorities, the result of transactions are carefully recorded and if you become the owner of at least one share traded in the international financial space, the data that you now own a small part of the company appear in the registers of specially authorized and designated depository structures. And in general, with classical trading activity, we have complete clarity about who is the buyer and who is the seller. The most transparency and openness of business relations, that's how I would characterize trading activities in international financial space. CFD is a completely different story. There is virtually no physical assets. There is no transfer of ownership. There are no depositories. There are no dividends. There is practically nothing to do with trading on the stock exchange. The trader does not work with a physical asset, but he works with his own forecast of the course movement of the selected asset. Such a method of work is much more risky, since there is a high risk of total loss of the deposit. Also, everything is extremely unclear with who is the seller and who is the buyer. It is clear that the buyer is a trader, but the seller is not the world's largest company, but a broker, provider to the world of international finance. So, this is a direct conflict of interests of the parties to the transaction. In my opinion, this is not trading at all. I would say that this is the most ordinary financial betting. In my opinion, all this is generally more like a financial casino, which has nothing in common with classical trading. What else I don't like here? Considering how many times Introtrade pay attention to the fact that they constantly provide their clients with trading signals, it is obvious that they expect that clients will actually use them. And there is nothing worse than using trading signals of unknown origin. You can work only according to the indications of your own trading system and your own signals that you can identify by yourself. Yep. And of course, I can't pass the total anonymity of the Introtrade project. No matter which pages of the portal we visit, we will not be able to find data anywhere about who is the owner, general manager, or leading analyst. We will never know where he is registered, and of course one can't ignore the fact that the Introtrade project does not have a brokerage license, either from one of the European regulators or even from an offshore regulator. Everything looks as it is not needed at all. However, I repeat, this is not the case at all. A license is required. Without it, all inter-trade activities are illegal on the territory of any country in the world. Yep. I'm coming back to you, my friends. Just a second. Yes, I'm here. Okay, what conclusion can I draw from the results of everything I have seen today? I have only one option. The Introtrade project is an international scam that doesn't have a license, which cannot be trusted, and where I do not recommend investing to anyone. Okay? With that, I say goodbye to you until we meet in my next reviews. I hope you were interested, and thank you, and thank to everyone who watched my video. Ciao, guys.